the 90s. So many memories, so many memorable things. Grunge music, Bill Clinton, the NWO, Bane breaking Batman's spine. Let's talk about one thing at a time. Like, the fads. You know, there was Gigapets, Furby, Beanie Babies, Pokemon. Well, Pokemon's still around, but it was also a fad for a while. And of course, there was Pogs. Remember Pogs? These little cardboard thing, circular things. Something that simple, made millions probably. I mean, it was a fad, so everybody wanted it. It was, but fads are only good for about a year or so that sucks for the company who makes, like, fads. There was different kinds, you collect them, you trade them with friends and everything. I think this little guy was almost looks like the honeycomb craver or something. Well, maybe not, but, I think that was kind of like their mascot. There's another one of him he's like a Frankenstein, monster, Frankenstein's monster. Snoopy, those Peanuts ones. There's these things called Michis. I remember my sister always liked these. Space ones. The list goes on of all the different kinds there were. And it was these things, these metallic things that were, I think they called them slammers. This one's kind of cool. It's like a skull hot air balloon. Let's talk about movies. I mean, sure, any decade launched tons and tons of movies, but in the 90s, I think the two movies that I think really personified the 90s were Wayne's World and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle series. Then, well, there's movies, there's also TV shows. Now, I could go on and on about TV shows, There's so many shows I grew up with. Mighty Max, Rugrats, Kenan and Kel, Bots Master, Captain N, all the video game-based ones, like Captain N, Samurai Pizza Cats, SWAT Cats. I could go on and on. But my favorite show of all time that I grew up with was Tiny Toon Adventures. It was... whenever I watch these shows, it brings back so many memories. It really takes me back. And it was... Unfortunately, this show always kind of had trouble staying on the air because it, because of one episode that featured alcoholism, and actually, it's on this DVD. I've seen it. It's kind of funny, really, but it's very disturbing, to see these cute little characters and the show. That's why the show, like I said, it always had trouble staying on the air, and I just lost my train of thought. That's why so many networks never wanted it. It would come and it would come back. It would be on for a number of years. Sorry, talking memories really makes me miss being a kid. But it would be on for a couple of years, then it would disappear because I guess people were still like, "Oh my God, there was that one episode." Let it go, But and to be. When this is on the Hub, I don't know if it's on as much as it was anymore. It's on in the morning or something. And one of that episode, that alcoholism episode, was on the Hub. So I remember watching it on there, and I'm like, wow, this network has some serious balls. But this show really was a great show. It's so much that I love that show so much. I actually bought a Nintendo Power just because it was the cover. It's the the Tiny Toon Adventures Buster Bunny Bust Loose game for Super Nintendo. And there's actually some good stuff in here, because I'm starting to build a Nintendo Power collection, and I bought this one on a hunch, I guess you could say, because it was Tiny Toon Adventures. But there's some good stuff in here. There's your walkthrough for that, of course. There's Star Fox. This is when Star Fox was first coming out. There's a Star Fox comic too. Some really good stuff in here. And it was that's the thing about Nintendo Power. It seemed like such a 90s thing. I mean, that's not just because of the internet, really, but it's just, well, I mean, anything you need to know about anything, you look it up on the internet. And it was the internet can be accessed from anything, your gaming device, your cell phone. But it's not just that made Nintendo Power such a 90s thing. It was also, I bought this one on a whim from 2003, hence the GameCube on there, because this was the GameCube and Game Boy Advance era. It's like going through this thing, looking at the pictures, reading about the games and the stuff. It's kind of cool, but it's just not the same as like reading through one of these ones from the 90s. Like this one is from 93. I think March maybe. It was from 93. So it's like you read through this one and everything, and it's like, whoa, like what a nostalgic trip. And speaking of I mentioned Star Fox, and don't mind the cat. I mentioned Star Fox in here, and actually, it's funny because Star Fox, like F-Zero, it was a game a series by Nintendo that started in the 90s on this baby, the Super Nintendo, which, I mostly play the newer consoles, but I still go back and play like older games, and Super Nintendo is gotta be my all-time favorite system. This cat's being a pain. This cat, sorry. But the Super Nintendo launched so many great series like Star Fox, and it was the only system that really stayed in the 90s, if you know what I mean. Like, the NES, for example, the NES era started in the mid-80s and ended in the early 90s, and then the N64 started in the mid-late 90s and ended around a little after the new millennium, whereas the Super Nintendo was the only system that was started in the 90s and ended in the 90s, unless you count Virtual Boy, but that's a whole nother story. And Nintendo-wise, of course there was Sega and everything, but I'm talking about Nintendo. That's what I mainly grew up with. Let's talk about toys. There was a lot of toys from the 90s, like G.I. Joe, of course. You remember G.I. Joe? So many companies would create other things, like Hot Wheels, which is still around. For a while, in the 90s, they made these things called Attack Pack, which are these. It was like a vehicle that turned into like a monster, I guess you could say. There was car ones, too. Or actually, I think they were more like monster trucks. Maybe that's why they don't make these anymore. Monster trucks was more like you don't really hear much about them anymore, really. But yeah, Attack Pack, they were cool. I liked them. Anybody in the 90s did. Then I remember there was a time where some company, I forget who it was, but they were taking like a new take. It was like they were doing a new take on Tarzan, and it was really cool. It was like he went out to all these different places. Like there was still the jungle, where he fought it was like this highly intelligent gorilla guy. I forget what his name was. And there was these guys called leopard men that were like leopard skins. And then he also went to the center of the earth, where he fought that same gorilla guy, as well as all these different kinds of creatures and stuff. And then he went to Mars, which was really cool when he went to Mars, because he had all these different allies. Like there was this guy with he looked cool too, the Mars thing. He almost looked like He-Man or Conan. He had like this kind of Viking-like helmet, and he wore a white furry cape. And there was this guy, I think his name was John, and he had black and gold armor and a turquoise cape, and there was this girl I remember too. I forget what her name was. I think it was like Jessie or something, or Jessica, something like that. Joanne, Janice, I don't know. But then there was also this four-armed mantis guy who looked like this. Yeah, I still have the toy of him. That was my favorite. He was really cool. And there was different versions. There was these ones, little, like rubbery, posable ones. Then there was also these big ones, like that tall, that you push a button and they like talk or something, or they do like some kind of sound. Like the Tarzan one would do the famous Tarzan yell. I remember my brother had one of them, because one of the center of the earth creatures was like these snake guys. My brother had one of them. then there was all the mini things, really. Like, there was these guys. They were called, it was Garbage Bag Gang or something like that. It was like, it was one of those mystery things. It was like, you didn't know what you were getting. It was like literally like a little plastic bag or something in the box. The box that you buy action figures in. It was like in a little bag, and it was you didn't know what you were getting. So you bring it home. You buy it. You bring it home. You take the bag out of the box and you put it in a bowl of water, and then it opens up or it dissolves and the little guy's remains. And I don't know why, but there was literally a whole series of them. Well, not a whole. I don't know, maybe like 30 to 50 of them. I only got one for whatever. Then there was Snailians. Yeah, Snailians. Get it? Snail alien. Never mind. But that's what this guy was named, Abraham Lincoln, because they were named after the presidents. It was Abraham Lincoln, George Washington. I forget who the other one. It's probably the ones who were all on Mount Rushmore. I can't remember who Theodore Roosevelt. I can't remember the fourth one. Yeah, but that's who the good guys were the Snailians, and the bad guys were ticks. And that's actually kind of creepy looking. The ticks. They also came with armor, which I don't have, but they also came with these little guys that hooked onto the armor. It was pretty cool, really. And I remember there was also these things. I wish I could remember what they were called, but there was these. They were like little army guys, and I'm not talking like army guys. Those little, like the ones in Toy Story. You know what I mean? But there was these ones that they're really cool. There was vehicles. I remember there was this helicopter I always wanted to get, but I unfortunately never did. I like I said, if I could remember the name, and then the villains were like these mutants. So, yeah, like mutants. Like I always like this guy. He has blue skin, wears all purple. And then of course I saved my two for the last. My two most favorite toys of the '90s. One of them was Z-Bots. Yeah, which there was all different kind. The series 1, which started in 1992, there were these little 2-inch robot guys, and they were different. They were divided into groups. Like there was Champ Bots, which were kind of like different sports ones. There were Cop Bots, which used the guns. Clash Masters were they used blades, claws, swords, you name it. They were like samurais. There were Flymatrons, I think they were called. They were the flying ones, like this one with. I remember this one was really cool. Always one of my favorites. He had the propeller on his top like a helicopter, and he had chain gun hands. Then there was Series 2, because they went on for a few years. The Series 2 was they did a lot of the same idea. They had just different. At this point, they were just kind of more random ones, like. There's another one. And then there was ones that were like vehicles and stuff, and there was ones that changed shape, or they they slightly changed shape, or there was ones that they were like this, almost like a Tac Pack, really, but it's a Z-Bot. Maybe that's where they got the idea, was from a Tac Pack. Then there was ones, because they always came in a 3-pack. There was ones that would come together, and then they would combine together, like these two right here, or these 3. Let's see. Yes, it's not really going on there, but see how they combine together. Pretty cool, huh? Then Series 3, they made them back into groups again, which that was about. Yeah, I thought I had more Series 3. Yeah. But they divided them back into groups. Like there was this dinosaur guy, and I don't even remember the groups really. But then they kind of re-released Series 1 in time, because they were made by Micro Machines, another '90s toy, which unfortunately they went out of Micro Machines. The company went bankrupt, so that's probably why. There's the cat again. Actually, when Micro Machines went out, so did Z-Bots. But Series 1, like I said, they re-released them a number of times. They also had them at Burger King for it some time. There was 5 of them on the Burger King ones. The first one was this guy, who's, I don't know, it was like black and pink, and he has like a disc. And it was funny because, what was I gonna say? We went to Burger King quite a bit, and my brother and I, we were constantly getting this guy, and then my sister, because these were, my sister would get one too, and then she'd like, give us, she'd kind of give us hers too, so my brother and I each had like at least 5 of this guy, so we said like, we might as well make this guy like a foot soldier, like Ninja Turtles, they had foot soldiers. And then it was, it was funny. My grandparents live in New Hampshire, so we went up to New Hampshire for the summer, or for like the weekend or something in the summer, and we stopped by Burger King on the way home. And I think I was waiting in the car because I was car sick or something, so my brother, once my brother got his food, and he instantly went into the bag. He comes out and he's like, "Mark, they got the new Z-Bots!" It was this Bat guy who was always my favorite, and then it was... we were saying, my brother was like, it's funny, the one back at home, the Burger King we always went to, because there was a Burger King right down the street from our house. It's like the one back home, they probably still have the first guy. So, we went home and went to that Burger King. Yeah, we had Burger King twice in the same day. And we're like, it's probably the same guy. And it wasn't the first guy. It wasn't the second guy we just got in New Hampshire. It was the third guy. It was all white, red and green. He had a drill hand. Then number 4 was this guy. I think his name was Jawbreaker. I remember some of them. Him, I remember his name was Turbine. This guy, Jawbreaker, it was, instead of arms, he had eyes. Kind of freaky looking. Number 5 I never got until, well, this was number 5. I think his name was Buckeyes or something. Actually, I never completed the series until I bought this one on Amazon. Yeah, I said that. Then there was also what were known as mini-Zs. They were little miniature versions of the Z-Bots. I keep them in I keep them in a little Ziploc bag so they don't get mixed up in here. And, well, of course I've saved the best toys. I saved the best for last. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Yeah, I know, this isn't the original Donatello, it's like a rocker one, because, well, you figure that's how they kept the franchise alive, because if you figure the toys, if they made only just the 4 Ninja Turtles, and then everyone bought the 4 Ninja Turtles, it's like, how's this company gonna stay alive? Because the Turtles, the 4 Turtles are gonna stop selling. So they start, if everyone has them. So they come up with different gimmicks and stuff to keep because then everyone wants them and the franchise keeps going on and on. There was all different kinds of ones. I mean, I used to have a Leonardo that, I had a Leonardo that was in a motorcycle cop outfit. My cousin had a Leonardo in an army outfit. My brother had a Raphael in a spacesuit. My sister had Michelangelo in a scuba suit, and it goes on and on. I could go on forever. There was different characters too. Like there was this dragon guy that my brother had. I think his name was Hothead. He was really cool. There was a merman guy. I used to have the toy of him. I used to have that worm guy. I forget what his name. There was some worm guy. I think I got him for Christmas actually. And there was Muckman. Has one of the only characters I remember the name. I used to have him. Unfortunately, I don't anymore. And then it was like, that was the thing about Ninja Turtles. Like, the vehicles were so cool because it looked like just a bunch of random junk thrown together. Like, my brother had one that was like, it's like a dune buggy with plungers that went like that when you drove it. And, I'm sure there's more 90s toys that I'm leaving out, like Wildcats, Skip It, Stretch Armstrong, Body Wars, Planet Wars, but, I can't keep this going, I can't just keep going on. Come on, Mark, this is 90s, think of something, a good 90s way to go out. Extreme close up. Whoa!